You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, Doge, and more. Cryptocurrencies and digital assets are taking the financial world by storm. This exploding market provides everything a savvy trader needs: volatility, volume, and liquidity, provided you know how to find it. That's where we come in. Welcome to the Crypto Rundown. Each week, we'll break down the latest trading activity, trends, and developments throughout the world's leading crypto derivatives markets. If it's moving the crypto markets, then you'll find it on the Crypto Rundown. The Crypto Rundown is brought to you by Amber Data. If you're entering the digital asset class, you'll need access to granular on-chain and market data from multiple venues to power research, trading, risk management, and compliance. Amber Data delivers comprehensive data and insights into blockchain networks, crypto markets, and decentralized finance, empowering financial institutions to apply traditional finance methods to digital assets. Amber Data eliminates the infrastructure setup, integration challenges, and maintenance headaches to access digital asset data, reducing cost and time to market to enter the digital asset class. Learn more and download their digital asset data guide at www.amberdata.io. Now it's time to dive into the exploding world of crypto derivatives. It's time for the Crypto Rundown.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back to talk a little bit of crypto derivatives action. We got something to talk about. Yes, it is time once again for the Crypto Rundown. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the network upon which all of you folks are mainlining these days. Did you miss us? We were off last week. We were actually recording live for the Option Block at the big Option Pit annual Super Summit. It was fun. Everyone was in town. We did some live shows. It was a good time. But of course, that infringed on the live recording time for the Crypto Rundown. But now we are back in the studio and raring to go. Remember, if you like what you hear, this show, anything else on the network, throw a like, a star, a comment. It all does help people at the end of the day continue to discover all of the content. And for those of you listening who are, let's say, crypto native, you might want to check out a lot of our educational content like Options Bootcamp, Options Playbook Radio. All that stuff goes a long way towards helping you figure out these crazy things we call options. If you want to do a little bit more figuring on your own, maybe you have some questions you want direct answers to, maybe you want to listen to Options Oddities, all sorts of fun live access giveaways like our Pro Trading Crate for July coming up pretty soon. Only one place to go to learn more. theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go. Welcome to all the folks who joined us last week. I know there were a lot of people dipping their toes in the waters over there on the Pro. So welcome to all you folks who joined us of late as we keep on rolling, getting on into a little bit of the old Bitcoin breakdown.
It's time to explore the latest trending activity, trends, and developments across the world's leading crypto market. It's time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Bitcoin Breakdown, the portion of the show where we do just that. We break down what's been lighting it up in the world's leading digital asset. Yep, we're talking about the big dog, which is Bitcoin. A lot popping off in the world of crypto, of course, since our last show, including those much anticipated ETH ETFs going live, lifting the entire crypto market as a result. We'll get to all that ETH fun in a second. First, the big dog looking a little bit bigger this time than it was on our last show, which was, again, 2 weeks ago now. We were at 63,636 on the last show, 67,361 coming into the start of the show this week, up a whopping 3,725 handles. So a nice little run. The high was a little bit north of 68,000, 68,317. Coming pretty much over the weekend, the low 63,636, set pretty much right after our last show on July 15th. So a lot of living being done since our last show. How is that playing out on the vol front? Let's find out. Remember, if you want to check out all these analytics for yourselves, only one place to go, amberdata.io, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. If you did that, you would see that the 7-day vol out there in Bitcoin, kind of treading water, down slightly, but not a huge evolution. 52.5 on the last show 2 weeks ago, 51.6 right now. So again, we are heading into, let's say, the quiet August period in the market. So we do have the big event that was the Bitcoin, I should say, the ETH ETFs behind us. So vol treading water, all things considered, not exactly surprising this time of year. A 30-day vol, which is a more standardized vol metric, obviously, was a 52 on the show last week. 51 this week, again, mostly treading water. And the 180-day vol, the 6-month vol, literally treading water, 60 on the show 2 weeks ago, 60 at the start of the show this week. Let's get out to the Skew, see if any more is lurking out there right now, or has this recent move, has it spent everyone right now on the options front? The last show, we were hanging out at about a positive 3/4 to the upside on the weekly Skew, which is mostly flat. We are a little bit north of that right now, 1.35 on the show right now. So ticking up a little bit more. Maybe there's a little bit more room to run, the options markets are saying in the near term, but not a ton. I would mostly view that. Anything around plus or minus 1 point is pretty much flat. Let's go out to the 30-day Skew. Again, a more standardized metric of Skew as well. And we're at a positive 1/3 of a point this time 2 weeks ago. So again, mostly flat. Coming in to start the show today, positive 2. So again, a little bit slightly biased to the upside. And going out a little bit farther, 6 months, actually coming in a little bit. We were positive 4.25 2 weeks ago. Today, positive 3.9. That gets out of the Bitcoin direct vol metrics that we look at over there on Dare. But let's get out to some of the other products you folks like to trade in the Bitcoin realm, Bitcoin adjacent, all that fun. Let's go to the direct stuff first. Let's go out to Bitto. A lot of action on the ETF front these days. Bitto right now feeling a little frothy right now, 23.5 up 1.25 points over the last 2 weeks. The ADV, even though we're heading into those quiet summer months, continuing to tick up to about a 90,000 contracts a day right now. That's up 5,000 from this time 2 weeks ago. So Bitto, even though, again, we're heading into that quiet period out there right now, still looking pretty frothy from an overall volume perspective. How's it delivering today? Looking pretty decent, actually, about 71,000. So a strong chance with about an hour left to go in the session, a strong chance that it'll at least come close to hitting that ADV today. And the vol hanging out at about a 57, up a point from this time 2 weeks ago. So remaining strong, remaining frothy out there since our last show 2 weeks ago. What's open for size out there in Bitto right now? I think you guys know this dance by now. It's been the same for a while. It's 123,000 of the Jan 30s and about 84,000 of the Jan 35s. Those haven't really changed much for a while out there now. You know my thoughts on loading up on a ton of upside in a name like Bitto that pays such a hefty dividend. Not my favorite way to go, but nonetheless, those positions remain, so they're clearly not listening to the show. In terms of activity out there today, let's see, listeners, what is lighting up the tape out there? The big dog out there, 4,400 of the 24 calls expiring this week. So some weekly 24 action. Again, half a point out of the money. Not the craziest thing we've seen out there in Bitto land. And if you don't like that, how about 4,200 of the 24 halves also expiring this week? So a lot of near dated paper. If that's still too close for you, how about 3,800 of the 25s? Again, also expiring this week. So a nice little call strip expiring this week. Leading the dance today in Bitto land. Let's keep rolling. Let's go out to Greg's favorite. Of course, I'm talking about BitX. He's the reason this is featured on the show. He's the cause. He's the impetus. 37.5 up 2.6 points. Again, this is a levered 2X ETF out there. So makes sense. We're seeing a little bit more action. That's why you go to BitX after all. The ADV is 20,000 contracts. That's actually ticking in the right direction as well. That's up about 5,000 from our last show 2 weeks ago. So folks, seemingly discovering BitX since our last show. Maybe they have been listening to the program when it comes to BitX, at least. The ADV right now, again, 20,000. Today, 21,000 contracts on the tape, so already exceeding that. And the Vol 117 up 6 points. So a frothy day out there in BitX. Let's see what's up, shall we? It's 1,300 of the 40 calls expiring this week. Again, 37.5 is where we're hanging out right now, so $2.50 out of the money. 1,300 of those bad boys, followed by 1,200 of the 39 calls also expiring this week. Interesting action out here in everyone's favorite BitX. Have you started to warm up to BitX, listeners, or is it still a little bit too crazy for you? I can understand certainly the latter. The big position out there right now, this has been the same for a while as well. We've joked about this with Greg before. 7,100 of the Jan 2026 70 puts. Good times out here in BitX. Speaking of good times, let's not forget about Mara. I know the name a lot of you like to use as your crypto proxy in your portfolios. Certainly from an options perspective, hard to blame you. The ADV dwarfs lies other ones we're going to talk about here. We just talked about BitX rallying to about 20,000 ADV. We've got BITO looking a lot frothier these days, close to 100,000 ADV, which is respectable, of course. And then you got Mara, 321, and it has been much higher. It's been north of 400,000. So Mara puts up some numbers. I can see why people choose this one. 20.5 right now, giving up the go since our last show, down over 4, about 4.2 handles. We've been talking about this for a while, this saga that is Mara, down to about 15, up to about 30. Rinse and repeat. Seems like we're on the downward end of that cycle yet again. 321,000 contracts. That is the ADV right now. It's up a whopping 46,000 since our last show. So again, more and more of you folks appear to be discovering Mara out there, at least from an options perspective. Maybe not today, though. 193,000. Again, that's nearly 2x BITOs. That's respectable paper, but compared to that ADV of 321, don't think we're going to get there today. And also another reason why folks are choosing it, obviously, is the vol. The vol is 106 right now, up 16 points. So you can see why folks are attracted to Mara from an options perspective for a variety of reasons. In terms of size positions, what's open for size in Mara now? Let's find out, listeners. Top 5 positions. Number 1 is 42,000 of the SEP 30 calls, so not quite as near dated as what we were just talking about on the BITO and BitX ETFs. Followed by number 2, about 27,000 of the SEP 28 calls. So a little bit of SEP upside here in Mara. We've kissed the 30 handle over the last few months, but it was very brief. So 30, maybe a bridge too far. Well, we shall see as we keep on rolling, listeners. ETH ETFs, all the rage. So let's get there, listeners. It is time for the altcoin universe.
It's time to move beyond Bitcoin and find out what's moving the rest of the crypto marketplace. It's time to boldly venture into the altcoin universe.
All right, everybody, welcome to the altcoin universe, the portion of the show where we break down all the action outside of the big dog, which is Bitcoin, except for right now, looking at the top 10. This is always fun every week on the show to see what's going on, especially that slugfest that is the bottom half of the top 10, the war of attrition to gain market share in the crypto space. Who is winning that war? Let's find out this week, shall we, listeners? Number 10, we're going out to Cardano. So Cardano taking the 10 spot. 14.7 billion. That's what it cost to break into the top 10. That's well above where we were just a few months ago out there, hanging out at 13 billion. And indeed, it was at 10 billion not too long ago. So intriguing stuff out there. Number 9, we got Toncoin. 16.7 billion. What did I not say at 10 or 9? I didn't say Doge, because that's at number 8. Kicking Toncoin to the curb, saying, hold my bear, kid. Doge, 18.7 billion, so nearly 2 billion. Almost 2.1 billion worth of market cap over Toncoin right now. Interesting. Doge taking the bit in his teeth over the last couple of weeks. Number 7, XRP, 33.7 billion worth of market cap. XRP hanging out at 60-cent handle. I haven't seen that in quite some time. So could the worm possibly be turning for XRP? We shall find out. Number 6 is USD coin, 33, almost 34 billion. Number 5 is BNB, 84.1 billion. Number 4, it's Solana. Another one having a nice pop, 86.5 billion. Number 3, it's Tether, 114 billion. Number 2, it's ETH, because of course it is, $397 billion. And the big dog, Bitcoin, looking bigger this week, $1.3 trillion worth of market cap. All right, let's get out there, listeners. What brought you to the dance this week? It's ETH 3316 when we kicked off the show. That's actually down from our last show 2 weeks ago, down a whopping 88 handles. We were at a 3404 in our last show, so maybe a little bit of a buy the rumor, sell the fact once the ETFs are finally out. The high, we did get a little higher. That was back about a week ago, Sunday, July 21st. We got up to 3536. The low came just this past week on Thursday of 3170. So it had a decent range, not quite 400 handles, but pretty close out there. In terms of vol, let's see how we're shaking up on the vol front. And again, you know, people are waiting for the big announcement, the big release of the ETH ETFs. That was kind of the event in the offing for the near future for ETH. Once that happens, you'd probably be forgiven for expecting vol to come in a little bit. That's kind of what we saw out here. On the weekly front, we had a 59 vol on our last show 2 weeks ago, 53.5 this week, so coming in nearly 6 points. On the longer-term vol front, the 30-day vol front, though, actually managing to tread water again. 57 on the show 2 weeks ago, 57 this week. So literally unched out there on the 30-day vol. And on the 6-month vol, 68 3/4 2 weeks ago, 67.5 this week. So down about 1.25 on the longer-term vol as well. Let's see what our Skew is telling us. Any major moves baked into the Skew right now? Let's find out. On the last show, we had a positive half to the upside. So again, I consider that mostly flat. Coming in to start the show today, even flatter, positive 0.2. So not much priced into the near-dated options right now in ETH. Looks like it might be hanging out here for a little bit. In terms of 30-day Skew, we were at a positive 2 on the show last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, so slightly bullish. This week, 1.1, so pretty much cutting that in half. And then going out a full 6 months, positive 5 on the show 2 weeks ago. This week, 4.4, so coming in there as well. But let's get out to some of the action I know a lot of you folks have been paying close attention to. This is the ETH ETF space. Of course, these bad boys going live since the last time we were live here on the Crypto Rundown. A whole new universe of trading prospects for you folks out there to consider on the ETH front. So if holding ETH for whatever reason wasn't your cup of tea, you didn't want to deal with wallets or any of the other nonsense, either way, maybe the ETFs are what you've been waiting for. Let's break down some of the big ones out here in terms of size. All right, we'll start with the elephant in the room, which is the ETH Trust, ticker symbol ETHE. It's Grayscale, of course. You're probably familiar with it already. They have the Bitcoin Trust and the ETH Trust. They filed to convert their closed-end fund to an ETF. And they also added an interesting little wrinkle. They added a mini distribution, effectively. So they've launched a Ether mini trust as well. So as of last week, holders of ETHE, that is the ticker symbol, of course, if you had $100 in it, for example, you would get $90 in ETHE and $10 in the mini trust as well. So a little bit of an interesting wrinkle there for ETHE. Now, as I said, was the elephant in the room. They had some outflows of late with all these other new players coming into the game, and that's where we're going to turn our attention right now. So in addition to the conversion of ETHE, we also have the SEC approving 8 ETFs for direct spot ETH trading. We have, in addition to the mini trust, the newly launched mini trust from Grayscale, we have the Franklin Ethereum ETF, ticker symbol EZET, the Van Eck Ethereum ETF, ticker symbol ETHV, the Bitwise Ethereum ETF, ticker symbol ETHW, the 21 Shares Core Ethereum ETF, say that one 5 times fast, ticker symbol CETH, the Fidelity Ethereum Fund, ticker symbol FETH, and then the BlackRock iShares Ethereum Trust, ticker symbol ETHA, and the Invesco Galaxy Ethereum ETF, ticker symbol QETH. That's a lot of tickers to keep track of. I said the Grayscale Trust was the elephant in the room, the 800-pound gorilla. That was until recently. Once all these new ETFs were approved, we did see some significant outflows out of the Grayscale Trust or / ETF and into some of these new players out there. As of last week, it was still the second largest Bitcoin ETF with 18.6 billion remaining in assets even after the outflows it saw. But taking the top spot with 35.7 billion, at least as of last week, was BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust. Of course, if you want to trade options on any of these, you're still out of luck. Right now, the only real options on a direct quote-unquote ETH ETF are still in the ProShares realm. ProShares ETH Strategy ETF, ticker symbol EETH. Now that's going to invest in the futures over there at CME rather than the spot ETH. So that's a deal breaker for you. You may want to wait, but as of right now, if you want options trading on ETH in a somewhat one-to-one fashion, they're not an ETH related name like, Mara or Coinbase or anything like that, then right now, EETH is the only game in town. So let's break it down. Coming into the start of the show, it's at a 68 right now. In terms of options, this whole dance with the Bitcoin ETFs and the options there, don't even get me started on that nonsense, and just dragging their feet for seemingly ever out there on those. I mean, we should have had those listed back in January. But nonetheless, we're seeing some paper. The ADV in EETH right now, a whopping 137 contracts. So again, bear that in mind if you're going out here to trade the options on these things. That liquidity, or perhaps lack thereof, is going to be reflected in the spreads of the options. There's only 36 contracts on the tape today. The big trade today is a 10 lot of the October 90 calls. Remember, looks like paper buying those. Let's see if we can get a price just for fun, listeners. But again, we're hanging out right now with EETH at a 68, pretty much even. So they're buying the October 90s. They traded for about $3. So you like buying 10 of the October 90s for $3 with EETH hanging out at about a 68, listener? Somebody did out there. But again, we're talking a 10 lot. So not huge volume out here. Just getting started. In terms of open positions, the OI is actually fairly reasonable out here. The big dog out here so far are the October 85s. 462 of those, followed by 370 of the Jan 70s. 70 compared to where we're hanging out right now, it's actually a fairly reasonable strike, all things considered. So that's kind of interesting. Let's go back really quickly and see if we can find where they opened those and for how much. Looks like they traded them a few weeks ago, and looks like they sold them for about $15. So overriding the Jan 70s for $15. So obviously an effective exit price of 85. Or would you sell your EETH at a price of 85 between now and January? Looks like somebody is willing to do that, at least to the tune of 300 contracts out here. So intriguing stuff afoot out here, listeners. Well, obviously, this is still very nascent in terms of liquidity in this space, the assets under management in the ETFs. This will all grow over time. We wanted to just sink our teeth into it because we have been off for a little bit, and we wanted to give you our thoughts on what's unfolding in this space, who some of the leaders are right now on the ETF front. As we keep on rolling, let's go out to the rest of the altcoin universe. Solana having a good run since our last show. 155 and about a half is where it was on the show last time. 186 and about a half right now, up about $31 since our last show. So a nice pop for Solana. All this ETH love carrying on over into what some folks view as a competitor or a rival. Solana out there, 186 and a half. XRP also feeling this rising crypto tide, lifting all boats. 53 and roughly a half cents on the show 2 weeks ago. About 60 cents right now. So up almost 7 cents, about 6.5 cents. That's a nice little run for XRP that has been languishing in about 47 to 52 cents for seemingly forever. So if we can break out of that, that'll be good for all the XRP folks who've been choking on it for years. Doge, 12 cents last week, about 13 cents. This week's up about a cent. A Litecoin, 70.65 2 weeks ago, 73.71. This week up about $3.06. Cardano, 43.4 cents, 41.1 cents this week, down about 2.3 cents. So there you go, the rising tide. Not lifting all boats, just most. Polkadot also feeling a little bit of heat. 636 2 weeks ago, 571 this week, down 65 cents. And everybody's favorite, I should say, Shiba, also taking a bit of a rest. It was a million zeros, 183 2 weeks ago. This week, 167. So giving up the ghost. No Shiba Lambos for any of us this week. All right, that music means that's going to do it for us on the Crypto Rundown for this week. Just the facts, man. Get you in, get you out, get you on about your trading week. Speaking of your trading week, a lot of fun stuff on the docket for you. We have the advisor's option coming up tomorrow with our buddy Mr. Matt from Orats. Will there be special guests? Got to tune in to find out, listeners. We have a pro Q&A for our pro folks tomorrow as well with our good buddy, the once future and present Dr. Vix, aka Mr. Russell Rhodes. Those are always popular, so get your questions in now. If you want to learn what all the fuss is about, only one place to go, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. Wednesday Options Bootcamp, our premier educational program. You should be checking that out if any of these terms we're talking about today on the show are a little bit confusing to you or you just want to refresh them. And all things options, a great place to go. Thursday, the option block, and This Week in Futures Options. Friday, volatility views, and then exclusively for our pro folks, we come back again for options oddities. Then we're back again next Monday, another episode of the Crypto Rundown. Stay safe out there, everybody.
The Crypto Rundown is brought to you by Amber Data. If you're entering the digital asset class, you'll need access to granular on-chain and market data from multiple venues to power research, trading, risk management, and compliance. Amber Data delivers comprehensive data and insights into blockchain networks, crypto markets, and decentralized finance, empowering financial institutions to apply traditional finance methods to digital assets. Amber Data eliminates the infrastructure setup, integration challenges, and maintenance headaches to access digital asset data, reducing cost and time to market to enter the digital asset class. Learn more and download their digital asset data guide at www.amberdata.io. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.